Now, George, I realize you and I only met like last week, and you probably think I'm totally incompetent given the number of technical failures that have happened, but it's really quite strange. I've developed this really robust failover system, and something happened on Charles Ortel's show last night that Anyway, I had too much confidence in the hotel internet. I was not using the failover system before, but we've got it in place now. I don't want to say too much about it, but let's just take it back to where we were at the top of this broadcast before it was disrupted, because we are back to being live. You are a January 6th survivor. You're a political prisoner. You're a dad. You're a father. You're a business owner. And you have been supported by this organization called We Won't Be Canceled. Tell us a little bit about this, if you can.
I was referenced to them by Nick Searcy back over the summer. I didn't get a chance to mention them last time, and I've actually never really mentioned them before. But I filled out an application. They helped me out in a pretty desperate time over this past summer financially. And they came through pretty clutch. So I really appreciate them helping me out. And there's other organizations as well. I appreciate everyone throughout the course of the 4 years. It's been a challenge for me and for any J6er really, because the way we've been persecuted, not only by the DOJ and the government, but by our peers, our community, credit card companies, websites. I got kicked off a Lyft last week for no apparent reason.
What?
After a year being on them, and they always they cite the Capitol riot.
Now wait a second. You were driving for Lyft or just using it as a taxi? You get canceled.
I used to drive for Lyft, and they ran a background check on my second time after a year, and it showed my I think it's called Checker, and it showed my charges, listed all my charges, 12 felonies. And it says dismissed, and I still got denied. So, some person on the back end could just press, the no button, and then you got to go through the process to get reinstated. But, at that point, I was actually supposed to be at January 6th this past yesterday, and Airbnb kicked me off after I had a reservation set up since, I think, September. I set up a reservation because I was planning on going to the Capitol again to kind of face my fears a little bit. It was 4 years ago. I was there, and unbeknownst to me, an incident happened, and I got caught up in it. Other J6ers, just about all the other J6ers, either went inside or had some type of altercation or, touchy-feely in the big crowd and the mosh, that you see in the videos. I was running in the opposite direction. So my J6 experience was very different that day.
You told us a bit about this. I'm sorry to interrupt. You told us a bit about this last time, and I really do believe that you were targeted. You and I had been talking about meeting up at January 6th, today, earlier in D.C., to go to this press conference. I want to talk to you a little bit about this because there's a lot of strange things going on at this Hyatt. When I went over there today, I recognized some people who were in attendance who maybe it's possible that people at the press conference might not have noticed them, and I think their presence there, it was very curious to me, George, But before we get to that, I just want to point out for people, they can make donations to this We Won't Be Canceled organization, and it isn't just for January 6ers. This is an organization that's helping anybody who is unjustly canceled or fired for asserting their First Amendment rights. So this could be, this applies to a lot of people that we've spoken to on Crowdsource the Truth. This is happening to everybody. I mean, not as severely as what you're describing. They're trying to prevent you from getting a job. I mean, there's people who are committing murder who they go and hire to workplaces, and you guys are it's disgraceful how you're being treated.
Well, just like the website, I mean, there's other people that have been helped through that organization. We've been persecuted on so many different levels in the country, whether you're, believe in Jesus Christ or, you're against transgenderism or schools being taught a certain way. People are being canceled for just about anything these days. And, I've read the bios on those other people. James Bleak is another fellow January 6th that actually beat all the charges.
Wow.
He's in a league of his own as well. I was actually going to recommend you speak with him one day because He was a pretty well actor, Broadway, went to the Capitol, but he played his cards different, as far as, going pro se and really fighting the government, like
Yeah,
one of our buddies, Free State Will.
right.
Um, so it seems like the people that went the legal route or the lawyer route really ended up with the shorter end of the stick, because you're playing by their rules, and you have a guy on your side that's playing by the rules that they set in place. Um, but for January 6th, the rules got thrown out the window, and that's really where uh, the injustice that happened to all of us. It just unacceptable the way we've been treated across the board. Whether you assaulted an officer or you did anything bad that day as well, it was unequal hand of the law.
Absolutely. You
And that's
just said
probably why.
something very important, George. Free State Will is William Pope, and he is representing himself pro se. It's not just a throwaway comment to say that the people who relied on lawyers had a harder time, because sometimes those lawyers have their own bias against people, and, lawyers are people. If they think that January 6th was an insurrection, they might not give you the kind of fair representation that you deserve. Now look at this. You got Trump here. Everybody's getting ready for Trump to issue these pardons. I hope that you will receive one, and I hope it'll help you get back on track with your life, help your family. And it's important to explore this behavior of lawyers who have caused people perhaps to not get the kind of representation that they deserve. We're hearing a lot about lawfare. Even Trump himself is facing lawfare.
Right.
He's got Juan Merchan getting ready to sentence him in what is an absolutely unfair legal action. But we are live here, so that's good. We seem to have maybe overcome some of our hotel internet problems.
Sorry, I'm drinking a beer in front of everyone. I know it
It's
doesn't
okay.
take very quick. Cheers, everyone. A lot to celebrate today. It's been a difficult 4 years, but I reached out to you a few days ago about this $50 billion lawsuit that is being filed by Jake Lang, a fellow Jake Sixer, and it's a class action suit. But I had reached out to you about that, and that's how the event came up. Simply because now there's talks of lawsuits and whatnot, and in my case, it's a little different because, I was charged with all these charges, but I didn't do anything. So I'm in a different boat, and the lawfare has gotten down to that where we can't even find attorneys to speak with us out of fear of retribution from the DOJ, the FBI, accountants. I've had accountants that go, you know what, I can help you, but I don't want to help you because I don't want them coming questioning me about anything, so the fear factor is there, and they've accomplished that.
It's unbelievable. What's that?
You have a fire going on there?
No, there's all kinds of things happening to keep this whole system running. The failover system is just engaged. We almost lost you there, but it's working.
I said before, this isn't Newsmax or CNN. I'm not worried about it.
I'm also staying in the Sheraton Pentagon Hotel, so it's possible that there's something going on with the internet that might not be.
Glowing.
Something's happening,
glowing.
yeah. But you said something really important right there. All these lawyers are basically forcing people to take plea deals. That's what they want to do. They hit you guys with these tremendous charges. I spoke with Adam Johnson earlier today, the lectern guy, and I really like Adam. He's an inspiring guy. He's got a great attitude, really, about his own situation. But he said, that he was basically compelled to take a plea deal, and people can listen to that. It's funny, this whole video would not play on X. Elon Musk has been telling us how he's the free speech platform, but it played on YouTube, it played on Odyssey, it played on Getter, it played on Rumble, but it cut out an hour in, and people who were watching on X.com did not get to hear the part of the conversation where I spoke to Adam. And when I went to replay it from my cloud server, it cut out again. So I'm going to need to look more closely into that. But there have been so many problems on this road trip, and problems in particular getting this January 6th video out. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the press conference, because obviously a lot of people suspect that the FBI was responsible for January 6th. And when I say FBI, I'm talking about the IC, the intelligence community. That's the FBI, the CIA, the DIA, the DEA, NIH, all these different things seem to have executive level departments that interact with the intelligence community, and the reach is broad. The other thing is the FBI JTTF, the Joint Terrorism Task Force. It's a component of the FBI that basically gets into almost every single police force and basically converts your local police into FBI. So this is me approaching the Hyatt. I want you to listen to this. Let's give a listen. So let's see if we can. Why are the cops all jamming out the Hyatt? Do you know if that press conference is still happening?
There's no press conference in there.
So did you hear what that guy just said? He says there's no press conference in there. First of all, how the hell would the cops know where there is or isn't a press conference? Didn't that seem weird?
Well, that's funny because, yeah, that is funny. But at my sentencing, I had 80 Capitol police officers line the hallway. I had to walk through them. And let me tell you how hard it was for me to refrain from punching one of these guys in the face. Let me tell you, I don't give a fuck if they're a cop. At
they're
that
dicks,
point,
right?
These guys, they basically called me a murderer. And they know I didn't murder a cop, and neither did my co-defendant. And not a single one of them stood for the truth or for justice. Very few. A couple people spoke out. Tariq Johnson was one. I mean, like, just imagine the whole police force, and not a single one of them came out and said, look, this isn't right and this isn't wrong,
They're in on it, obviously, but I want you to just look at this frame here, George. Look at what we've got. This police cars right here on the right, lining the street.
Outside, I saw that.
Why do they have so many police cars at this hotel?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they were there to intimidate.
There's no press conference in there.
There's no press conference in there, he says. Obviously, there's a press conference in there. Now, watch this. As I walk into the hotel, what's that?
It's very frustrating.
Watch this. There's more police here.
So we have a bus of Capitol Police here.
Yeah.
A busload. This is
So
police.
you ended up going. I didn't know you went.
Yeah, I went. I missed the part where Ivan Raiklin. Oh, here's another cop coming out. Capitol Police.
They were in there.
Now watch
That's
this.
the hotel I stayed at, actually, for when I went to
Really?
trial. Yeah.
You know who owns the Hyatt is Pritzker's.
I don't know who that is.
So the thing that's interesting is
lenses. You're not supposed to come.
Pritzker is the governor of Illinois. And the thing that's interesting is as I walk into this hotel, this is a business hotel. The cell phone was working throughout the hotel, but I approached this guy right here.
Wow.
You okay, sir? Yeah. Do you know where that Michael Flynn press conference is happening? The J6.
See how he says to me, "Are you okay, sir?" What is he talking about? Are you okay? And by the way, my broadcast cut out just at this moment. Now, luckily, I have a robust data buffer and I was able to recover it, but I got the warning from the data buffer. I think they were using some technology in this hotel to deliberately try to end my broadcast because it happened at one other very distinct time during the course of this broadcast that I don't think was organic. And the reason why I say the cell phone works well in this hotel is because I went deep into the depths of it, 2 levels down. So, I mean, I think they know they have business conferences in here. I don't know who this guy is. They have business conferences in here. They know people are going to want to use their cell phones. I expect they have a cell phone boosting system in this hotel that allows cellular communications to work. And the fact that it shut off the second. Yeah.
Yeah, right behind you where those escalators are. Mm-hmm. I sat there with my attorneys for about 2 hours right before my trial. Mm-hmm. And my attorneys were panicking because of all the cops that were going to be at my hearing. We didn't catch wind of it till the night before. And I remember looking at my attorneys and I'm like, I cannot believe this. Like, we felt like we were walking into the lion's den.
Well, you are.
Yeah, we were. But to
this
me,
hotel is controlled, I think.
But I made a decision right there to wear a mask, an N95 mask during my hearing. And my attorneys were like, that's like the greatest idea you've ever had. So I was able to walk and like, laugh and, talk shit under this mask. Because there was just no way I could keep my mouth, like I couldn't keep my mouth shut during my sentencing. It was just lie after lie after lie. And, you're sitting there, your buddy's in orange, you're the only guy in there. We told our families not to go, because our families weren't going to be able to sit through that either. My buddy's father and my uncles and all, they weren't going to sit through this whole like accusing us of killing a cop that day, which is what they did for about an hour and 20 minutes during our sentencing. So yeah, that's funny. You showed me that spot right there because we sat there and discussed the strategy there at the end. And then I had to encourage my attorneys at that moment saying, look, we're going in here. I didn't want to go in, but they were kind of worried, but they were worried I couldn't keep it together. And I was like, don't worry, we're going to be fine. So,
yeah. Well, certainly earlier today, this hotel seems to be under the control of the U.S. Capitol Police. Now, somebody in the comments is asking if this is the hotel where Reagan was shot. That was a Hilton, actually. This is the Hyatt on Capitol Hill, I think it's called. So you see, I'm going downstairs. This is, 2 levels underground. Clearly, the hotel has technology that allows cellular communications to work seamlessly throughout the hotel. So the fact that it cut out just as that concierge or whoever that guy was asked me if I'm okay, I found that very odd. Now, I want to point out a couple of other people here. I basically go up to the entrance of this thing. The security guy asks me if I'm on the list. The answer is no. He asks me for press credentials. I say I don't have them. He lets me in anyway, so that was pretty nice. But just shortly after entering this press conference, I noticed an individual in here by the name of Ezra Frisch. Now, I've run into Ezra Frisch several times around New York City, and he's just basically, as far as I can tell, a professional agitator / asshole. Here he is. Let's listen to him.
How are you, Ezra Frisch? What are you doing here? Disrupting, no doubt.
I'm not disrupting. I'm
What are you doing here?
People. Listen to me. It's good to see you. You look great, man.
So much about that. So, I would like to point your attention to, I am wearing a
Don't you work for the FBI or something, or the cops?
I wish. I'd make more money than I do now.
You came with a Fauci thing over to the Matt Taibbi event.
Yeah, it was funny.
Who's this dick?
That's my friend.
Yeah.
I work with my cameraman on there.
Yeah. So what are you doing here? You can't possibly be for January 6th defendants.
Of course I am.
No, you're not. You're always disrupting everything.
Well, I'm a journalist too.
How come Matt Taibbi?
He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, right. He is a friend of yours. So you were in there pretend you were. No.
After the
What's that
event.
guy's name? Walter Kern said your father is his best friend.
Yeah, they're good friends. Yeah.
So obviously you've known Matt Taibbi for a long time.
No, because, that's not how it works.
It doesn't seem like you were organically there.
They're here today.
I was organically there.
I don't think so.
Share with you about how
Yeah, take care.
I mean, George, this guy is just so full of shit. It's unbelievable. I got his number, and he's got an answer for everything, right?
And yeah, I don't know who he is. He looks familiar. I've definitely seen him somewhere, at least online. But
You've seen him online.
Yeah, I will definitely follow him and see. There's a lot of characters. I'm a character too. I mean, we're all characters, Jason, playing his role that God put us in, man.
Yeah, but there's something about this Ezra Frisch guy. He's just not a normal kind of character. He was trying to interview people at this press conference, I think specifically to make them look foolish, to try to, besmirch the people who were, like you, people who were involved in January 6th. People are trying to help people who were involved in January 6th. So it's interesting to see all the cops there, and he's there. He's always around where the cops are. I'm very confident that guy works for the cops, works for the FBI, something like that. Now, there's another person who I saw in here who you had sent me a video where Ivan Raiklin was speaking with this guy, Donnie O'Sullivan, and Ivan was getting all over him about the fact that he's a dual citizen with Ireland. Now, I'm loath to agree with Ivan Raiklin, but I don't think you can have dual citizenship. That's like being married to 2 women at the same time. This is Donnie right here. He enters the event. He's a big fancy CNN guy going for Emmys and whatnot, so I'm a little surprised that he would come to, such a small potatoes press conference like this. Let's listen to my conversation with Donnie.
Oh man, it's hilarious.
From leaving a home, our
Donnie, have you seen
How are you
George's
doing?
latest
What's going on?
nonsense?
Yeah, you and George not friends anymore? What's going on?
Well, George and I haven't been working with each other since 2017, but you seem to have been very interested in everything that he's done.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
You still crowdsourcing?
What
the
happened
truth?
with the Benassis?
Benassis? You did the story on them.
Yeah. You seem to work for the FBI.
Do I?
You do, yeah. You're always covering stories the way they want them covered. How come nobody was interested in the fact that that George Webb live stream happened on a channel called Jason Goodman? The FBI never called me. You covered it from the angle of George doing everything.
George.
The FBI never even asked me. What did I know about it? What?
You were bummed you didn't get the attention.
No, it's not that I was bummed. It's that I've come to realize that I was set up by George, and it seemed like you and the FBI and George and his brother were doing a cleanup operation because George intended to entrap me and get me put in jail.
Yeah.
How come you haven't won an Emmy yet?
I'm not good enough.
That's
Been
true,
nominated- Been nominated twice.
but you're sort of up Adam Sharp's ass. I would think you'd get an Emmy.
You think so?
I do think so,
Come
yeah.
have some lunch?
Perfect size for a butt plug. Have a good day, Donnie.
He invites me to lunch as I'm insulting him. Can you believe that guy?
Oh man,
So this place is crawling with FBI, George. It's unbelievable.
I should have went. Man. I'm on I should've-
But
What's
this
the worst
was
that
fun.
could have happened? What's the worst that could have happened?
Yeah. No, I mean, it would have been fun to see you for sure. But I'm not joking. I mean, obviously that's funny to rag on idiots like that, but this is not a coincidence.
They're-
The FBI was
Well, they're
there.
a threat. They're a threat. If these guys are out there spinning a narrative the way they want it done and really shining a bad light on January Sixers, and he has the Irish dude and the other guy, he looks familiar, but is he like more like a comedic? Like,
Well, he is an
moment kind of
actor. And I'll tell you what, he actually does have good comedy acting skills. But you see, there are these divisions of the NYPD that they openly tell you that they hire actors. Let me see if I can find this. I think it was called NYPD Street
they're
Crime.
ghosts in the machine.
You know, let me see if I can find this here.
There's absolutely a psychological warfare going on the populace, and it surrounded the January Sixers before, during, and after. It's pretty sad because we're like at the front lines of this war, of this psychological war, and we're the victims of this January 6th debacle, and a lot of people might not see or believe that something like that is happening to them currently, or maybe even at that event.
You see this here? This is the NYPD Street Crime Unit, and it says, "We own the night." What do you make of this logo? Can you see that clearly enough? You see this?
It's like an old person with
It's
a
an
cane.
old lady, right? This thing
Right.
basically tells you that they hire actors and they go undercover. Old school NYPD Street Crimes Unit. Back in the 1970s, the hardest hitting unit on the streets of New York was the New York Police Department's citywide street crime unit, better known as SCU. The 60 or so members of the unit used advanced tactics for the first time, including disguised officers trolling for muggers and plainclothes intelligence units covertly shadowing suspects. Look at this, dressed up like I mean, it's ridiculous, but this is what this idiot Ezra Frisch is doing. He's part of something like this.
Well, yeah, see, like people don't believe that this type of stuff happened or is happening, and it's not rocket science. At the event, I did catch Patrick Bryan speak, and he mentioned, I heard about this event in some country, and I was like, man, it sounds like January 6th. And he's like announcing that, like, this is happening. When we're in jail, we read a lot of books, the Communist Manifesto, 1984, the Communist Cookbook. Like, these were books were available to us tablets. So you started reading what they're thinking, or I'm not saying, these plays. And it's kind of scary that, you know, something like that could be happening, but people have to keep their guard up.
Absolutely.
You know, and you're the kind of guy that's like not afraid to like speak up, but other people, you know, especially in the J6 community, are just kind of caught up in this legal issue or jail and all that, and just looking for any glimpse of hope, you know. So the event there that day was to pardon all J6ers, which I do agree with.
Look at all the cops coming in and out of this place, George. Did you see that? More cops.
They're there for. Yeah,
they're there
to
for a
intimidate.
reason. It's not security for this press conference. Why would they have so many cops there? There's truckloads, literally busloads of cops in this joint. I think I go back downstairs right now to get a drink of water. Watch this. I'm going to walk by the restaurant, see Donnie and his stupid CNN crew right there. And look at this. You got cops eating lunch right there in the restaurant.
Yeah, they're all chilling.
So this is like a staging area for the cops. That press conference was run by the cops, as far as I can tell. And so then I left. What's that?
Glad I didn't go because they don't like me.
That's true. They might have found a way to jam you up if you had gone there. But so it occurred to me as I left this thing that, so the JTTF is the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. It was created in 1980. Initially, it was a special unit of just 4 NYPD detectives and 4 New York FBI field office special agents. And there was an argument that they needed this kind of special unit in New York because it's obviously, one of the biggest cities in the world, special considerations, terrorism, crime, etc. But it occurred to me that very probably the JTTF would be involved with the Capitol Police. So I asked ChatGTP what it thinks. Let's see if we get to that part. It's a little hard for me to find some of this stuff in this video. I was walking. It's another weird guy came up to me, but I just want to see if I can play this segment for you where I ask ChatGPT. It very confidently answers about the JTTF. And it said, yes, the U.S. Capitol Police do.
Rather than...
They do engage with the JTTF a lot.
Over by those Capitol Police where they're going to hit me with an IMSI catcher. And by the way, IMSI catcher, that's like 10-year-old stuff. Maybe they have something.
So I was talking about how they were disrupting my broadcast, and I think they've got technology to do that. It stands to reason that they do. The hotel, how can they have, look at this, and that makes sense that they're by the Capitol, but why at that hotel?
Something like that.
What do I ask ChatGPT?
Give the cops and everybody at least an excuse to be.
There was zero counter protest.
No protesting today, no. It was very, very calm.
Network downstairs in the hotel or the mode that I'm in right now waiting for the guest. How is the audio?
Yeah, because...
David Hawkins, yeah, I know, Karen.
Here we go, I gotta ask ChatGPT. I should have had this queued up. I'm sorry to be searching around the video while we're live here. There was another weird guy. Here we go, there it was. I could tell by my reaction. There, it's talking to me.
Maybe people hate this, but let's see what it says. Do you know if the U.S. Capitol Police have FBI JTTF integrated in there?
Yes, the U.S. Capitol Police works closely with the FBI and other agencies, including integration with the JTTF. This collaboration helps address threats to national security and ensure the safety of key government figures and buildings.
Cool.
I mean, isn't that unbelievable? It was like delighted. It was, oh, yes, they do.
Absolutely.
No question. So, I mean,
they're everywhere. And they're a lot smarter than me. I'm just a average Joe Schmo, man, caught up in January 6th. And it's a little frustrating because they really did frame me pretty hard. And they tried to bait my co-defendant into making me out to be a bad guy, like a planner, which is like, it's just so bizarre. Like, they were able to get away with it for a couple months and impeach Trump based on this lie, that we hit a cop with a fire extinguisher. I mean, at that time, I wasn't called out We weren't charged with it yet, but they were able to do that. And then the story kept evolving on my end. So, these people are capable of doing anything. The system is capable of doing anything. Um,
I agree
don't
with you,
come after me.
George.
It's like, it's just so crazy. If I wasn't tied up into this, I'd be like, wouldn't think anything of it. But if they could do it to me, they could do it to anyone, man. And,
That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point, George. They could do it to anyone, and they do.
They do. They absolutely do, man. They took 2 words out of context and spun it into a conspiracy. The fact that I said, hold on, not yet. The 2 words, not yet, were the true grounds of them saying, I had a plan to attack the Capitol that day. So really those 2 words tied me to January 6th. Other than that, I wouldn't have been tied to this. Because people, the media also span with I'm going back to my story, but they said that he was sprayed with bear spray, but the bear spray was never given to Julian. It was taken away from him. And nor did I give him anything back. The can of spray he had from the night before, but they still cut that out to make it seem like I did like a handoff, or we still had this intent to go, these people, may they rest in peace, these guys. Probably the reason why they're not here with us any day, because they probably deep down inside wouldn't have been on that side. And then, God took them away from us. And, it brings me to, we've been vindicated today, despite of all the shit, the January 6ers, Trump won the election by a landslide. 4 years ago, we were sitting in jail. We're like, 2 more weeks, we'll be vindicated. And here we are 4 years later. We finally feel vindication for our reason to go there that day and redress our grievances. Sure, things got out of hand, but there was a lot of bad actors in the crowd pushing people forward, egging on the crowd. I saw Steve Baker. He said he met with a guy, top general, saying it would have took four men, 4 soldiers, 4 trained people in this type of environment to make January 6th happen. Enticing the crowd, handing out certain weapons in the crowd, pushing people forward with a bullhorn or anything. And they had that event there today, pleading to President Trump to pardon all these people. Because a lot of people got caught up. Yeah, some of the guys I was in jail with, really all the guys I was in jail with were high profile guys, really around the tunnel. And a lot of them didn't know what came over them that day. They felt like, I thought that there was some type of weapon used against us in that crowd, maybe like the Havana syndrome. Electromagnetic.
Yes, right, exactly. Havana syndrome.
Some of the guys thought that God was speaking to them that moment. Our country was really on the line, because that was the rhetoric that was put in everyone's head, especially people that were in the queue, following the queue stuff and all that. So it was like a one long psyop on the people to create this event. And I truly believe they wanted to cause like an all out war that day, so they can, go to the next step. Because the way people were running in the crowd after Ashley Babbitt died, may she rest in peace. They killed a woman. They killed a woman there. They shot her. They beat her and all this. And people just run into the crowd trying to work everybody up. And and then there was a guy that went to DC jail. He confessed he was passing out cigarettes with PCP in the crowd. To cause people get worked up.
That's crazy. So he's drugging people. Wow. What does PCP do to you? I only know about that from the Terminator, where he punches through the window.
PCP's a hell of a drug, that's for sure. It's from Training Day, when he's like, "You ever smoke PCP?" And then he's like, gives him the cigarette. But this guy, he got to DC, and he confessed that he was an anarchist and he wanted to cause problems that day, and he was passing out cigarettes of PCP in the crowd. So, there was a lot of people that got caught up that day, and it's pretty sad, but I'm happy on my end. I think there's a light in the end of the tunnel for everybody. I know that event today was for that, and I watched for the first like hour or so, and then I got caught up and ended up falling asleep. But hallucinogenic effects, yeah, I've
Look
spoken
at
to
that.
you
It
guys.
says it was developed in the 1950s as an intravenous anesthetic, but its use for humans was discontinued because it caused patients to become agitated, delusional, and irrational. Wow. Today, individuals abuse PCP because of the mind-altering hallucinogenic effects it causes.
Right there on a cigarette. I think the guy's name was, I can't remember his name.
This is saying it makes people agitated and it makes them hallucinate. So he's got people drugged in the crowd. Wow. That's the first time I've heard about that. That's absolutely shocking. Let me show you one other encounter that happened today that I believe was initiated by the Capitol Police, the FBI, something like that. Watch this.
Here, you guys he's pressing, you're trying to get what, Trump kicked out with the 14th Amendment?
Supreme Court said that Congress still has the power to invoke 14th Section 3, and I'm here to say that they should.
Well, tell us what that section is all about.
It's about disqualifying people who have taken an oath of office and then committed insurrection or gave aid or comfort to those who did.
But isn't it true that no one's been charged with insurrection? It's a very specific crime.
The Colorado Supreme Court actually ruled that Trump did commit insurrection.
Yeah, but that's not a federal court.
So?
So he's a federal, that's just a stupid
There's actually
ruling.
nothing in these amendment that says who determines that.
Okay, that's good. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.
You seem like an idiot. So that guy's there from the freezing
The broadcast cut out right after that encounter with that guy. And I had to use the data buffer. Luckily, I caught it before the buffer ran out and I was able to continue. But look, there's a police truck right behind him that I'm pretty sure would have had the equipment that disrupted me.
He's there. He's equivalent to the, what do you call it? To the podium, the hanging.
The gallows.
Yeah, the gallows. That's the word. The gallows he put up. This is just art, and he's just standing there, for the photo. Then they go home. Well, I sent you the video of. I don't want to talk about Guy Riffett and his son too much, but CNN ran with the story. Yeah, he needs a butt plug or two, that's for sure.
Well, but let's just look at this guy for a second, because you see, when you look at me, I got all super dressed up to be walking out in the snow and the cold because I knew it was going to be cold and I'd be outside for a long time. This guy looks like he just rolled out of the police van 5 seconds ago, and he's just wearing a T-shirt. Yeah. And, this doesn't make sense at all.
Oh, yeah, it's funny because my cousin worked for the Fed, and he was up there, and we went on a rally with him once back in 2006, and he was in charge. And he said, those guys are all working for me. And, one guy's running in place, another guy's wearing construction uniforms, sitting at Starbucks, drinking. Like, they all looked at a place, And our cousin, I'm not going to say his name, he passed away. But we used to be like, he's like the biggest thing. We couldn't believe the feds, gave him a gun. And meanwhile, he's got like a whole team under him, counterintelligence, And, so that doesn't surprise me at all. It's very likely. And they know how to, paint a picture. They know how to take a photo, take 2 seconds, put it on the news, go to their media, and push a story. And I learned that the hard way. So yeah, anything's possible. But yeah, you got to engage with these people. You can't back off. This is your job type thing. But if I was there, I'd be like, hey man, what's going on? But yeah.
So
how to spot these.
Was there anything, George, that you wanted to talk about? You had sent me this video from the actual press conference. It's like a whole live stream of the entire thing. It was quite lengthy.
Yeah, well, I wanted to go because I know a lot of people there.
Oh my God! Here's Kara. She's always hanging out with the cops in New York City. This is Johnny Tobacco's girlfriend. So you see, these are all the same people that I see disrupting everywhere that we go. Here's Ivan Raiklin. Obviously, he's always causing problems.
I don't know Ivan personally, but today he said he knew who the bomber was. It's like, come on, man. Like, there's an old man that's 70 years old that got wrapped up over that pipe bomber. He's like the only one that took the heat out of that whole scenario. He didn't deserve to be in jail for 3.5 years. If you know who the pipe bomber is, man, get the $500,000.
Why isn't he telling us? Isn't that misprision of a felony if he knows who the pipe bomber is and he's not telling us?
He stated that earlier. I got no problems with Ivan. I don't know Ivan. I just know he's been saying he's going to do this and that. And it's like, it's 2 more weeks every day. It's 2 more weeks. So it's a little frustrating, but again, I'm just an average Joe Schmo,
Who was it that went to jail for the pipe bomb?
So there was a gentleman called Lonnie Kaufman. And I kind of put the 2 and 2 together because nobody else did at the time. Lonnie Kaufman's like 75 years old. He was parked within radius of the Republican National Committee or the Democrat, one of them. But when he went to go eat after the rally or during the rally, and he couldn't get to his car because they were roped off, and they started, get the dogs out and start sniffing through the parking lots and where the cars were parked within the radius of the bombs. Excuse me. And they caught, he had firearms in the car, like 2 rifles that he had in there for like 30 years maybe. And then he had like these mason jars that had gas in them at one point. So they said he had Molotov cocktails. This old man, like, he drove up on the fly from like Alabama, I think. He's had the rifles in his car for decades. And, his car got searched due to the pipe bomb. And, I think that's why whoever set the pipe bomb there was to cause that. They said, Trump supporters are coming. If we can catch 1 or 2 cars with some weapons in them, we can add that to the story, because there was no agenda. I mean, these fake pipe bombs were nothing more than, news for a little bit, this and that. But then if they searched the cars, and Lonnie was the only one. So by God's will, he's the only one that got caught up in that. This poor man, 70-year-old man, he's in jail with us, like barely walking, it's just disgusting. But now the pipe bomber information's coming out. I haven't posted that. I follow these guys, but when you post something like that, or if you know something and you've held it a secret, there's another guy called Chadwick, Dr. Chadwick. I don't know who these people are, but he was there with Q Shaman that day, and he's starting to post videos that I didn't want to release it. And, other people were counting on that, exonerating information potentially. It's odd. It's very odd. Yeah, there's Lonnie Kaufman.
Yeah, it really is odd. George, it's been a long day. I'm glad we had an opportunity to go through some of this material, but I was walking around in the cold and razzing all those FBI jackasses. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up the show? I love having you on, man. We got to do this more.
I appreciate that. I like your I watch some of your content, not all of it, because there's just so much content out there. And I work from home, so I get to keep up with a lot of the stuff. But I don't want any quarrels with the FBI right now. I just want peace. I got 2 more weeks for President Trump to get back in, and that's another phase. But the whole J6 thing has been one unique ride. And if you're a Trump supporter and caught up in J6, and you were a Trump supporter from day one back in 2015, it's been a very unique ride. And I had front row seats. So I appreciate that, everyone. Thank you for your support and your prayers. We're not afraid of the ride. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. So that's how it goes.
Definitely want to remind people that they can support you by going to this wewon'tbecancelled.org website they've set up for you. We Won't Be Canceled is supporting all kinds of people.
To be clear, that's for them. I'm not getting any more support from them.
Oh, got it. Well, it's still a worthwhile thing to support, because they're helping all of these people who have been canceled for all the wrong reasons. So the fact that they helped you, you can be a spokesperson for this now. People can donate money to We Won't Be Canceled. Help anybody who's been wrongly canceled. There's a lot of well-deserving looking people here. Everybody here looks like just a normal person.
Yes, Sarah right there, her husband is the J6er. Victoria White. Victoria has a terrible story. I mean, what they did to her with January 6th. James Beeks is another January 6er. She was the one that was beating the tunnel with the baton.
Right.
And they, what happened is just disgusting. Complete failure.
Capitol Police are a disgrace.
It's pretty bad.
It's real
So-
bad. George,
Yeah,
thanks.
I
Thanks
appreciate
for
the time.
joining me
I felt like I was
tonight.
here today.
I appreciate your time and appreciate your patience. I'm never going to go from a hotel without this failover system. It's working well. It kept us alive on this stream several times. So thanks everybody for watching. I want to remind people that they can support Crowdsource the Truth by going to odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Your sponsorship helps me keep these live streams going. There's a lot of complicated equipment in this room. I know it seems like I'm a jagoff who has live streams going offline all the time, but it's difficult to keep them going. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks.